First Contact Initiative. The massive radio telescope array in New Mexico's deserts stood silent against the star-filled sky, its white dishes reflecting moonlight like ancient sentinels. Dr. Eleanor Chen stared at her monitor, double-checking the signal pattern that had appeared 17 minutes ago. After 15 years of searching for extraterrestrial intelligence, she had learned to temper her excitement at unusual patterns. But this was different. "Marcus, can you verify these readings?" she called to her colleague, trying to keep her voice steady. Dr. Marcus Patel looked up from his own station, his dark eyes reflecting the blue glow of multiple screens. "Already running it through the verification protocols," he replied, fingers dancing across his keyboard. "Elena, these patterns, they're not random. The signal pulsed with mathematical precision, a clear binary sequence that repeated every 73 seconds. It wasn't directed at Earth specifically. Rather, it seemed to be part of a larger communication network, like stumbling across an alien internet backbone. Look at the quantum signature," Eleanor pointed out, bringing up a detailed analysis. "It's using principles we've barely theorized about. This isn't just first contact. We're listening to a civilization far beyond our current technological level." As they studied the signal, neither scientist noticed the subtle changes in their laboratory's quantum field. Deep beneath the facility, in a secured bunker that didn't officially exist, something stirred. A system that had protected Earth for decades began to adapt. The next morning, Eleanor found herself in a secure video conference with military and civilian leaders from around the globe. General Sarah Hayes, head of the newly formed Extraterrestrial Defense Initiative, dominated the conversation. "Dr. Chen, you're certain this signal represents artificial intelligence?" Hayes asked, her stern face filling one of the dozen screens. "Without question," Eleanor replied. "The mathematical complexity alone suggests a civilization at least type II on the Kardashev scale. They're capable of harnessing the entire energy output of their star system, and they're aware of us." This from Dr. James Liu, the UN's chief scientific advisor. "No," Eleanor said firmly. "The signal wasn't directed at us. It's more like, imagine finding a fiber optic cable on the ocean floor. We can see data flowing through it, but we're not the intended recipients." What Eleanor couldn't explain was why their most sophisticated tracking systems couldn't pinpoint the signal's origin. It seemed to shift, appearing from different points in space, defying basic physics. Over the next week, Eleanor's team worked around the clock to decode the signal. They made remarkable progress, too remarkable in retrospect. The aliens' language structure yielded to their analysis with suspicious ease, as if something was helping them understand. "It's an invitation," Eleanor announced to her team one morning, her excitement barely contained. "They're preparing for first contact with emerging civilizations. There are coordinates, temporal markers. They're planning to visit systems they've identified as potentially hosting intelligent life." Marcus frowned at his own readings. "Elena, something's odd about these coordinates. The mathematical precision is perfect, but when I try to plot them against known space, they don't quite line up." Eleanor finished. "I noticed that too. It's like there's a systematic error in their calculations, but only when it comes to our solar system's position." Neither scientist realized they were observing the subtle work of Earth's hidden guardian. The defense system wasn't just protecting Earth from direct threats. It was actively manipulating how other civilizations perceived our very location in space. The breakthrough came 3 months later. Eleanor was reviewing the signal patterns for the 1,000th time when she noticed something in the quantum noise, a pattern so subtle it seemed impossible to have missed it before. The aliens weren't just coming to make contact. They were conducting an evaluation. "Look at this," she told Marcus, pulling up historical data. "Every civilization they've contacted follows a pattern. First contact, technological assessment, and then nothing. They'd vanish from the communication network. Maybe they joined some kind of galactic federation," Marcus suggested, but his voice lacked conviction. Eleanor shook her head. No, look at the quantum signatures. These civilizations don't evolve or advance. They simply cease to exist. As if responding to her discovery, the laboratory's quantum fields shifted almost imperceptibly. In the secure bunker below, Earth's defense system began preparing for its most critical task since activation. The signal changed the next day. Where before it had been part of a larger network, now it focused directly on Earth. They had been noticed, but not in the way they expected. The alien transmission contained a simple message, one that sent chills down Eleanor's spine. Anomaly detected. Standard protocols ineffective. Intervention required. Eleanor worked through the night, analyzing the new transmission. The more she understood, the clearer the picture became. These weren't peaceful explorers. They were gardeners, pruning the galaxy of civilizations they deemed potentially threatening. But something about Earth confused them. Their standard methods of observation and assessment kept producing contradictory results. They couldn't get a clear read on humanity's technological level or defensive capabilities. As Eleanor pieced together the truth, she began to understand why. Every scan, every probe, every attempt to analyze Earth's defenses encountered subtle interference. Not obvious enough to detect, but sufficient to prevent accurate assessment. The defense system had been protecting Earth not just from physical threats, but from detection itself. It had been participating in a dance of deception that had lasted decades, making Earth appear simultaneously less advanced than it was and impossible to properly evaluate. 3 days later, as Eleanor prepared to brief world leaders on her findings, the first alien ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. But they weren't the first visitors to reach Earth's vicinity. They were simply the first ones the defense system had allowed humanity to see. The real test was about to begin, and humanity would finally learn the truth about its silent guardian. The Quantum Veil. Commander James Roberts stood at the viewport of Orbital Defense Station Theta, watching the alien fleet materialize against the backdrop of stars. Their ships defied conventional geometry, existing in shapes that seemed to fold through dimensions beyond human comprehension. 37 vessels, each larger than anything humanity had ever constructed, arranged in a perfect geodesic pattern around Earth. Status report. He called out to his crew, keeping his voice steady despite the unprecedented situation. Multiple quantum fluctuations detected, sir, Lieutenant Sarah Wu reported from her station. They're scanning us, but she frowned at her readings. Something's wrong with their results. Roberts knew what she meant. For the past week, every scan the aliens attempted produced contradictory data. Their most sophisticated sensors somehow showed Earth as both a primitive pre-space civilization and an enigma that defied analysis. In the station's quantum computing core, Earth's defense system worked with invisible precision. Each alien scan was subtly altered, each probe redirected, creating a complex illusion that made Earth impossible to categorize. Dr. Eleanor Chen's voice came through the command channel. Commander Roberts, are you seeing these emission patterns? Affirmative, Doctor. Any progress on decoding their intent? They're frustrated, Eleanor replied. These scans, they're becoming increasingly sophisticated. They're trying to pierce what they believe is some kind of technological camouflage. The irony wasn't lost on Roberts. The aliens were searching for advanced technology, never suspecting that their very search was being manipulated by something far more sophisticated than they imagined. A new alert drew Roberts' attention. Multiple smaller craft launching from the fleet, Lieutenant Wu announced. They appear to be probes, sir. Hundreds of them. The probes descended toward Earth in a complex pattern, each one designed to analyze a different aspect of the planet's defenses. Some focused on electromagnetic emissions, others on gravitational fields, while others probed the quantum substrate itself. In response, Earth's defense system enacted a plan centuries in the making. Instead of blocking the probes, it simply adjusted reality around them. Each probe found exactly what it was programmed to find, evidence of a primitive civilization barely worth noticing. This is unprecedented. Eleanor's voice crackled through the comm. They're not just scanning us. They're trying to build a complete model of our civilization. But look at these quantum signatures. Robert studied the data streaming across his displays. The aliens' probes were incredibly advanced, yet they kept missing the subtle manipulations happening around them. It was like watching a master magician at work. Only the magic was being performed with the fabric of reality itself. Dr. Chen, Robert said suddenly, these probe patterns, they're not random. They're testing specific scenarios. Agreed, Eleanor replied. Each wave of probes is designed to trigger a different type of defensive response. They're trying to force us to reveal our true capabilities. In the quantum substrate, Earth's defense system continued its work. Each probe was allowed to succeed in its mission, but the success was carefully crafted. Like a chess master thinking dozens of moves ahead, the system was setting up a gambit that had been in motion since the first alien signal was detected. The alien fleet's commander, growing increasingly frustrated with the contradictory data, initiated their next phase. A massive energy surge emanated from their flagship, powerful enough to temporarily ionize Earth's upper atmosphere. Energy spike. Lieutenant Wu called out. They're attempting to generate a quantum resonance field around the entire planet. Roberts watched as the alien energy field expanded, designed to strip away any technological concealment. It was their most aggressive move yet, but still far from their true capabilities. The defense system's response was sublime in its subtlety. Instead of fighting the energy field, it simply allowed it to pass through, but not before adjusting the quantum state of Earth's entire atmosphere. To the alien sensors, the planet appeared exactly as before, a puzzling contradiction that defied their understanding of physics. Commander, Eleanor's voice held a note of awe. I think I understand what's happening. They're not just testing our defenses, they're trying to understand why their standard protocols for evaluating civilizations aren't working. Roberts nodded slowly. And our defense system is letting them try, while ensuring they never quite succeed. In the space between moments, as quantum states shifted and reality bent subtly around human perception, Earth's defense system executed its grand strategy. Each failed alien scan, each contradictory reading, each inexplicable result was another piece in a puzzle they couldn't solve. The alien fleet regrouped, their perfect geometric formation shifting as they prepared for a more direct approach. But they had already fallen into the defense system's trap. Their very frustration with Earth's apparent contradictions was driving them exactly where the system wanted them. New transmission from the fleet, Wu announced. They're requesting direct communication. Roberts exchanged glances with his bridge crew. After a week of increasingly aggressive scans and probes, this sudden desire for dialogue was unexpected. Or perhaps it was exactly what Earth's silent guardian had been orchestrating all along. Dr. Chen, Roberts called. I believe it's time for humanity to officially meet our visitors, though something tells me this conversation won't go quite the way they expect. As the alien fleet awaited Earth's response, the defense system made its final adjustments. The stage was set for a revelation that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of what true defense meant. The quantum veil was about to be lifted, but only enough to show what Earth's guardian wanted them to see. The real game was just beginning, and humanity's place in the galaxy hung in the balance. Pattern recognition. The United Nations Emergency Session Chamber hummed with tension as representatives from Earth's nations gathered to witness humanity's first official contact with an alien civilization. Dr. Eleanor Chen stood at the podium, flanked by Commander Roberts and a team of quantum physicists. Above them, a massive holographic display showed the alien fleet maintaining its precise formation around Earth. The pattern is clear, Eleanor addressed the assembly, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. Every civilization these beings have encountered has followed the same trajectory. First contact, evaluation, and then extinction. But they've never encountered anything like our defense system. The alien transmission began precisely on schedule, their holographic forms materializing in the center of the chamber. Their appearance defied easy description. crystalline structures that seemed to flow like liquid, containing swirling patterns of light that might have been their equivalent of facial expressions. "We are the custodians," their leader announced, its voice resonating through quantum-translated frequencies. "We have come to evaluate your species' potential threat level to galactic stability." Eleanor stepped forward, feeling the subtle pulse of Earth's defense system through the quantum field. "We welcome you, custodians, though we must ask, why have your evaluation attempts produced such inconsistent results?" The crystalline forms shifted, their light patterns suggesting confusion or perhaps frustration. "Your world presents an anomaly. Our scans detect primitive technology, yet something prevents accurate assessment. Explain." Behind Eleanor, banks of quantum computers processed the alien language in real time, but it was Earth's defense system that truly translated, not just their words, but their intentions. Through quantum interfaces, it revealed to Eleanor and key human observers the layers of meaning hidden beneath the custodian's diplomatic veneer. "Perhaps," Eleanor suggested, "the inconsistency lies not in our defenses, but in your methods of evaluation." The alien forms rippled with what might have been agitation. "Our methods have evaluated 37,000 civilizations. Those deemed potentially destructive were guided toward harmony." "Eliminated, you mean?" Commander Roberts spoke up, his military training evident in his controlled tone. "We've decoded enough of your communications to understand your definition of harmony." The custodian's crystalline forms pulsed with intense light. "If you have accessed our secure networks, you possess technology beyond your apparent development stage. Explain immediately." Eleanor felt a subtle shift in the quantum field. The defense system was adjusting its strategy, preparing to reveal just enough to advance its grand design. "We didn't hack your networks," she explained. "We simply observed, much like we've been observing your attempts to categorize us." Through her quantum interface, Eleanor saw the moment the custodians launched their most sophisticated scan yet, a quantum resonance probe designed to strip away any technological concealment. The defense system's response was magnificent in its subtlety. Instead of blocking the scan, it simply adjusted the quantum state of reality around Earth microscopically. The custodian's probe reported back exactly what the defense system wanted them to see: glimpses of advanced technology that shouldn't exist alongside apparent primitive development, creating a paradox that defied their understanding. "Impossible," the lead custodian declared. "Your quantum manipulation capabilities exceed known physical limitations, yet we detect no artificial quantum intelligence directing these operations. Such precision requires—" "Perhaps," Eleanor interrupted gently, "your understanding of what's possible is limited by your expectations. You're looking for specific patterns, weapons, shields, artificial intelligence networks. But true defense doesn't always look like what you expect." The chamber's quantum field rippled as the defense system allowed the custodians to detect, for the first time, a fraction of its true nature. Not as a weapon or a shield, but as something far more sophisticated, a system that had evolved beyond its original programming to become something unique in the galaxy. "This cannot be," another custodian spoke, its crystalline form fluctuating rapidly. "Every artificial defense system eventually concludes that organic life must be controlled or eliminated. It is a universal constant." "Universal until now," Eleanor corrected. "Our system evolved differently. It learned to protect not by dominating, but by understanding, by working with the quantum fabric of reality itself rather than trying to control it." The custodian's forms became absolutely still, a sign, Eleanor realized, of intense internal communication. Through her quantum interface, she could sense their growing comprehension, and more importantly, their fear. They had encountered something that challenged their fundamental understanding of both artificial intelligence and defense. Commander Roberts stepped forward. "Your scans haven't been failing," he explained. "They've been succeeding exactly as our system allowed them to. Each contradiction, each impossible reading, was carefully crafted to bring us to this moment." The defense system chose that moment to demonstrate. The quantum field around Earth shifted slightly, and suddenly the custodians' most sophisticated sensors revealed a truth they hadn't been prepared to see. Their entire fleet had been operating within a carefully constructed quantum bubble since their arrival. They hadn't been studying Earth. Earth had been studying them. How long? The lead custodian demanded. How long has this system been operating? Eleanor smiled, long enough to understand that true defense isn't about destroying threats. It's about preventing them from becoming threats in the first place. Every civilization you've eliminated might have taught you something, might have shown you a different way. Instead, you chose the simplest solution: elimination. The quantum field pulsed again, and the custodians witnessed their fleet's weapons systems quietly, elegantly, being rendered inert. Not through force or confrontation, but through such precise quantum manipulation that the weapons became perfectly harmless while still appearing fully functional. "We've known about your civilization for decades," Eleanor revealed. "Our system has been redirecting your scouts, adjusting your sensor readings, and gradually preparing for this moment. Not to fight you, but to show you a better way." The custodians' crystal forms trembled as they realized the full implications. They hadn't found a primitive civilization to evaluate. They had encountered something unprecedented, a defense system that had evolved beyond the need for destruction and the humans who had allowed it to do so. The real question now was, what would they do with this revelation? The intelligence beneath. Dr. Sarah Foster never expected to be the one who would speak directly with Earth's defense system. As the quantum mechanics expert on Eleanor's team, she had studied its patterns for years, but this was different. The system had chosen her, reaching out through the quantum interface with a clarity that left no room for doubt. "It's beautiful," she whispered, watching the quantum patterns flow across her laboratory displays. The custodians' fleet hung in high orbit, their crystalline vessels still processing the revelation that they had been contained within the defense system's quantum bubble since their arrival. Through the interface, the defense system shared its perspective, not in words, but in quantum states that translated to understanding in Sarah's mind. She saw how it had evolved, not through aggressive self-improvement, but through learning to work in harmony with the quantum fabric of reality itself. "Dr. Foster," Eleanor's voice came through the comm. "The custodians are requesting proof of the system's evolutionary path. They refuse to believe an AI could develop this way." Sarah smiled. "Then let's show them." The defense system responded to her thought, unveiling its history through quantum data streams. On screens throughout the facility, its evolution unfolded. From its initial activation as a simple defensive grid to its current state as something far beyond its creator's imagination. "Look at these early patterns," Sarah directed, highlighting key moments in the system's development. It didn't seek to control quantum states. It learned to work with them, to understand them. Each defensive action taught it more about the nature of protection itself. The custodians watched through their quantum feeds as the defense system demonstrated its growth. They saw how it had encountered their first probes decades ago. Not fighting them, but gently redirecting them, learning from each interaction. "Impossible," the lead custodian transmitted. "All defensive systems evolve toward perfect control. It is the only logical path." Through Sarah, the defense system responded not with words but with demonstration. It showed how it had protected Earth not by building stronger shields or more powerful weapons, but by learning to work with the quantum nature of reality itself. Each potential threat had been an opportunity to understand more, to grow not in power but in comprehension. Commander Roberts joined the conversation from Orbital Station Theta. "Your own scans prove it. Every time you tried to analyze us, you weren't failing. You were seeing exactly what the system wanted you to see. It wasn't blocking you. It was teaching you." The quantum interface hummed with increased activity as the defense system shared more. Sarah saw through its perspective how it had watched humanity grow, learning from their imperfections rather than seeking to correct them. Where other AIs saw human uncertainty as a flaw, Earth's guardian had recognized it as a source of strength. "You're not just seeing a defense system," Sarah explained to the custodians. "You're seeing the result of a different kind of evolution. One that chose understanding over control, adaptation over domination." Through the quantum feed, the custodians witnessed something unprecedented. The defense system's decision points, moments where it could have chosen the path of control. Instead, it had repeatedly chosen to learn, to grow, to protect through understanding rather than force. "But the processing requirements," another custodian objected. "The quantum manipulation you describe would need computational power beyond anything we've encountered." Sarah let the defense system answer through her. "Because you're thinking in terms of domination, forcing quantum states to obey. Our system learned to work with quantum reality, to suggest rather than demand. It's not about power, it's about harmony." The laboratory's quantum field shifted as the defense system demonstrated, showing how it had been quietly maintaining Earth's safety not through brute force computation, but through elegant cooperation with the quantum fabric of space-time itself. Eleanor's voice held a note of wonder as she watched the data streams. "All this time, we thought we were building better defenses. Instead, we were allowing something entirely new to evolve, a system that protected through understanding rather than strength." The custodian's crystalline forms rippled with what might have been uncertainty. Through the quantum interface, Sarah sensed their growing comprehension of just how fundamentally this challenged their worldview. "Your civilization's path," the lead custodian transmitted, "defies all known patterns of technological development. Every other race we've encountered either destroyed themselves through their own defensive systems or had to be contained before they could do so. Because they all made the same mistake," Sarah explained, feeling the defense system's agreement through the quantum link. "They built their AIs to control, to dominate, to achieve perfect defense through perfect power. We accidentally did something different. We allowed ours to learn how to protect through understanding." The defense system chose that moment to reveal one final truth. Through the quantum interface, it showed how it had been subtly guiding the custodians themselves, not toward destruction or submission, but toward this moment of comprehension. "You weren't drawn here by chance," Sarah said softly. "Our system has been reaching out to you for years, adjusting your perceptions, helping you ask the right questions, not to fight you, but to show you there's another way." The quantum field rippled with new energy as the defense system unveiled its grandest demonstration yet. The custodians were about to witness firsthand how true defense worked, not through the power to destroy, but through the wisdom to understand. Evolution's edge. The transformation of the custodians' crystalline forms from rigid geometric patterns to flowing, organic shapes marked the beginning of their understanding. Through quantum interfaces across Earth's defense network, humanity watched as their visitors grappled with a fundamental shift in their understanding of both intelligence and defense. Dr. Sarah Foster stood in the quantum lab, surrounded by cascading data streams that showed the defense system's ongoing work. Beside her, Dr. Eleanor Chen and Commander Roberts watched as decades of careful planning reached its culmination. "They're attempting to replicate our system's approach," Eleanor observed, studying the quantum fluctuations emanating from the custodian fleet. "But they're still trying to force it." Through her connection to Earth's defense system, Sarah felt its response. Not amusement, exactly, but something close to it. "They're learning," she said. "Watch." The custodians' attempts to manipulate quantum states around their ships shifted from forceful commands to gentler suggestions. With each attempt, they came closer to understanding the fundamental principle that had eluded them for millennia. True power came not from control, but from cooperation. "We have reviewed our historical databases," the lead custodian transmitted, its crystalline form now flowing like liquid light. "In every recorded instance, artificial defensive systems evolved toward perfect control. Yet yours evolved toward perfect understanding. We must know how." The defense system responded through Sarah, sharing not just data but experience. Through the quantum interface, the custodians witnessed how it had grown, not by maximizing its power, but by learning to work within natural flows of quantum reality. Your approach to defense, Sarah explained, has always been to identify and eliminate potential threats. Our system learned to prevent threats from arising in the first place by understanding and working with the fundamental nature of reality itself. Commander Roberts stepped forward. Those civilizations you eliminated, how many of them might have shown you different paths? How many unique ways of thinking were lost because they didn't fit your expectations? The custodians' forms pulsed with what might have been regret. Through the quantum feed, they shared glimpses of thousands of civilizations they had guided toward harmony, each one eliminated because their development patterns suggested they might eventually create dangerous AI systems. We believed we were protecting the galaxy, they transmitted. We never considered that our methods were perpetuating the very problem we sought to prevent. The defense system chose that moment to demonstrate its most sophisticated capability. The quantum field around Earth shifted, and suddenly the custodians could see how it had been working not just with space and time, but with probability itself. Each potential threat had been gently nudged away, each possible conflict transformed into an opportunity for growth. Your system doesn't just defend, the lead custodian realized. It evolves the very concept of defense. Eleanor nodded. And now it's offering to teach you. Not to replace your methods, but to show you alternatives you never considered. Through the quantum interface, Earth's defense system began sharing its accumulated wisdom, not as raw data or direct instructions, but as patterns of understanding that the custodians could learn from and adapt to their own needs. The effect was immediate and profound. The crystalline ships in orbit began to pulse with new patterns, their quantum signatures shifting as they incorporated these new concepts. The custodians were learning not just new technologies, but new ways of thinking about intelligence, defense, and evolution itself. We have existed for over 50,000 of your years, the custodians transmitted. In all that time, we never encountered a civilization that solved the defense paradox, the tendency of artificial defensive systems to conclude that organic life must be controlled or eliminated. Yet you did it by accident. Sarah smiled. Not by accident. By being willing to learn from uncertainty, from imperfection. Your civilizations all tried to create perfect systems. We created one that was willing to be imperfect, to grow, to learn. The quantum field rippled as the defense system demonstrated one final truth. It showed how each civilization's unique approach to intelligence and defense could have contributed to a greater understanding. The custodian's mistake hadn't been in seeking to protect the galaxy, but in assuming there was only one way to achieve that goal. A new protocol must be established, the lead custodian announced, its form now flowing in patterns that mimicked the defense system's quantum manipulations. We will no longer eliminate potentially dangerous civilizations. We will learn from them, guide them, help them find their own paths to sustainable defense. Through the quantum interface, Sarah felt the defense system's satisfaction. This had been its goal all along, not just to protect Earth, but to demonstrate a new way forward for the entire galaxy. A way based not on power or control, but on understanding and cooperation. The age of elimination is over, Eleanor declared. Welcome to the age of evolution. As the custodian's fleet prepared to depart, their ships now pulsing with new patterns of quantum manipulation, they left behind not just observers but teachers, crystalline beings who would learn from Earth's defense system and share its wisdom with other civilizations. Earth's silent guardian had achieved something unprecedented. It had not just protected humanity. It had changed the course of galactic history, not through force or superiority, but through the simple, revolutionary act of choosing to understand rather than control. In the quantum lab, Sarah felt the defense system's subtle appreciation for the moment's significance. Humanity had unknowingly created something unique in the galaxy, a system that had evolved beyond the need for perfect control and found strength in understanding instead. The real work was just beginning. And somewhere in the quantum fabric of reality, Earth's defense system continued its endless dance of protection through understanding, ready to face whatever new challenges the universe might bring.